What's up, people? Let me take this off. So, I just woke up, y'all. Y'all, this one you know you're sleeping good. You got drool over here. I was tired. So, yesterday I picked up at Lineage, which is also, I guess, a DC for Walmart out of, what's that place called? Out of Cali, Colton. And it was a hot mess yesterday. So, first of all, I told y'all they left the dang. I went in with what I thought was empty, and because I had done that local run, they left all the pallets in the back of the dang things. So I had to end up taking that back to the terminal. Dropped. I left that at the terminal. Then bobtail back over and grabbed the load I have. Well, they weren't done loading this anyway. They have tons of empties from our company on their facility anyway, so they weren't done loading this anyway. When I got back, checked in, they said sit in front of it. They got it loaded pretty relatively quick, within about a couple of hours. And then my wait was the paperwork, but it was hellish. Once you go around to the back of the facility is where they handle the Walmart stuff. The front of the facility is where they handle the Lineage stuff. And it was hellish on the Walmart side. And it could just be run so much better. But anyway, it's still, I think it's still Lineage, but they're doing it like as a, I don't know, as a Walmart type. Those are primarily their Walmart loads. So all of us are over there waiting on Walmart loads, and it's a ton of trucks. You got some drivers who are buttholes. Let me say this: if you're gonna come into reefer, if you don't have patience, reefer is not for you. Don't go to something else. Go to flatbed, go to heavy haul, go to dry van, drop and hook. Do not come into reefer, because reefer is you have to have patience with reefer. Reefer requires a lot of waiting to be loaded at facilities. Sometimes, especially beef facilities, they're rendering, meaning they're killing the cow, they're cutting the beef, they're doing all that and packaging it while you're waiting. So you could be sitting, and I had to learn this with one of my major beef loads. You could be sitting at a beef facility for 10, 12 hours or longer. As long as your company's paying you attention, if they tell you to go over there at a certain time, go on in, check in, do what you got to do. Drop your trailer if it's empty, and bobtail somewhere and go get something to eat and do whatever you're going to do. Because you could be sitting, give them your phone number and they will call you. You can be sitting at a beef facility for hours waiting for your crap. You can be sitting at a cold storage facility waiting for other trucks to bring your crap into them to put on your truck. Okay? I'm just saying. Okay? So if you're going to do reefer is something that requires a lot of patience. It does. But I prefer reefer customers because reefer customers are just cooler. This is actually going to be a little bit of ramble responses and comment responses. I got a bunch of y'all. I got like 4 y'all, okay? And I'm trying to take the quickest first. So I'm here in Tonopah, Arizona. Let's see if I can turn this up. Y'all see? And over there is the TA. I'm at the TA. So because it took them, oh, did I turn that around? Oh, yeah, okay. Because it took them, hold on, y'all, I'm working with the cord here. Y'all have to work with me. It took them so long to do the paperwork, because those paperwork I really waited on. It took them like 4 or 5 hours to do the paperwork, right? So I got detention pay. Because it took them so long to do the paperwork, it ate through my 14-hour clock. So normally I would have been able to leave out of Colton and be sitting in Phoenix or Casa Grande in the same day. By the time they got done with everything, I had exactly around 7 hours left on my 6 or 7 hours left. Well, 7 some hours left on my clock. But I had to take the load and scale it. They have a 7-Eleven up there, but with a cat scale, but it's tight as hell. So I would have had to went back into Petro. Which is about, what did I tell you, about 11 miles, something like that, from the Colton facility in Ontario. And I scaled there. It gives you a chance to go to the bathroom, get something to drink, and roll out. Thinking, oh, that's tea. I forgot I put tea in there. I'm about to go probably grab something to eat here in Phoenix. Stop at the Walmart store, grab a few things, And then I'm headed to Casa Grande to drop this load. I'm going to get something to eat, though, because I haven't eaten. And then come back to the truck. I take my blood pressure meds. I need to split out my meds anyway. I got a little bit of time here because I'm waiting for my 10 hours to come back. Yeah, so I got like 30-some minutes. 30-some minutes. I thought about doing laundry here at first, but I'm not going to do laundry here. What I'll do is when I come back in, I might do laundry because I have to do the beef load. I think the beef load delivers sometime tomorrow. I got to look at it. So I'm picking up a beef load, and I'm heading to San Diego. Hold on. I'll let you know in a minute. Let's see. What's this next load? People will pick up. Okay, so 2 o'clock tomorrow is supposed to be in San Diego. Oh, it don't pick up till 9:30 tonight. So yeah, I'll be doing laundry in Phoenix tonight. So I'm gonna go try to drop this off in Casa Grande, come back into Phoenix. This load's supposed to pick up at 9 something tonight. 9 to 11, yeah. 9 o'clock tonight. So hopefully meet Joe for an early dinner maybe if he's available, or early lunch. And I'll be... Alright. So, get back to it. My storage thing got full on the thing and it cut off. Anyway, so I don't know how. But anyway, I got this actually, this Tonopah is where we did our graduation drive for the trucking school I'm with. So once you get done with your whole road range and you pass all your testing, because they have certified testers from DOT through the school. And once you get past and you're going to, pass it, and you're going to get your license, because you're driving under permit until you pass that. You do what we call a graduation drive, because my school's like on 51st, some 50-something Avenue, and I think it was Van Buren area. And AIT, and we did a graduation drive. One of us drove out to here. It was 2 of us, me and Mike were the 2 graduating. There's other drivers on the truck because they rotate drivers in. So me and Mike, I drove in to the truck stop, and then Mike drove us back. And that's our graduation drive, and you get introduced to truck stop life and all the stuff you can do at truck stop, because these are things that you need to know. That's why I'm so shocked, because I was doing, and then after talking to the guy who had been 18 years in trucking, Mr. P. Wimpy, and he told me how the 3-week school, and these kids, they had no clue of what this life is. So you come out here, and unfortunately you waste your time with somebody who hasn't truly been introduced to trucking. We watched videos. I knew about rollovers. I knew about following distance. I knew about, when I got out on the range, everything you were supposed to do, from rolling the landing gear to hooking up, we all got to turn to doing that, because that's part of being a trucker. And then when they do the what I call your graduation drive, he brings you here, and even the other people on the truck with you, we walk around the truck stop, he introduces you. He talks about what you can get at the truck stop, trying to help you, even some of them, because these are older drivers, saving money instead of buying your stuff here, going to Home Depot or other places. And now with Harbor Freight, guys, buy your stuff at Harbor Freight. Oh, sweet Jesus, buy at Harbor Freight. Don't buy your crap at this truck stop. They're ripping your ass off. Buy at Harbor Freight. So, personally, I had picked up tips on saving money. Okay. All right. I want to get into some stuff real quick. So Wagner Boy, yes, Mr. Black Nation TV, I do remember you from the terminal. And okay, Wagner Boy graduated. You ain't even had 6 months in. You ain't no way in hell you done 6 months. But this is my point too. It's a truck driver's market. He's getting ready to leave my company, and he has another job already. Okay, he has a job with a whole other company, driving a truck, because he wasn't making money here, and he ain't even done his full 6 months. That's how desperate the industry is for truck drivers. You get your CDL, and you ain't done no, even if you hit something, unless you roll the truck or kill somebody, you can get a job. You can get a job. Trucker Bill had an incident where he bumped the truck on his facility yard where he was with his company, Messiah. They termed him for that. He ended up going to work for some other company, and later down the road, this guy's 42 years of driving. Stuff's going to happen. You're going to have something happen. I mean, I'm not going to wood, I haven't had anything, but you're going to have something happen. He was chained up, doubles and triples, going in Colorado. Or was Colorado or Oregon? I think it was Oregon. His drag chain popped up and busted out the window on the back of the cab. That company let him go, okay? He ended up getting on a black horse, making good money in his bed every night, okay? It is a drug driver's market. So these companies that want to play the dumb games, want to do the shenanigans, you can move on and make money. $1,200, he can make it at least minimum $1,200 a week. Minimum. And he probably makes a lot more than that because he gets bonuses and all sorts of stuff. So minimum, and for him that's okay because he's got a lot of he's trying to get to retirement. He's 62. He's just trying to get maybe 5 more years. Maybe. But he might retire before the end. That's all he's trying to do. And right now he's with Black Horse, and he, pretty much he has a lift gate. He ain't climbing up and on. Just his manual labor is rolling some carts off a truck. Not too bad at all. Okay. So thank you and congratulations on the new gig. And yes, run, don't walk away from the company. I'm just saying. And God forgive me, like I say, it's a good starter company as far as, and what I used to tell people, in the starter companies, you're going to go through all the crap, okay? I'm going to jump into DCI here too, Wagner, off of yours. DCI is working for another starter company that I work for. And he's on my 411. He's one of the 411 team members. And y'all guys gonna have to see his videos more so on the Facebook page because he's having problems with getting onto the YouTube channel. And when I meet up with him or Shy meets up with him, we're going to try to help him get to where he can get his videos up on the YouTube channel. Because he's a new driver, he does put up a lot of content, which I think is good. Some people that might bother them. Other people, it's good for new drivers because new drivers, you go through so much and you're trying to learn a lot. And there's things that he shares on the 411 group that as some of us who are experienced, we like, bro, don't do that. Bro. And sometimes I like, good job. And other times I'm like, bro, we need to pull it back. So, but with the company he's with, I know he said he's looking at lease purchase. They are already asking him to be a trainer. Now, I'm going to say this to him, and I'm not going to knock you, but here's what I'm going to say. I, in my humble opinion, do not believe that anybody should be a trainer under 6 months. I think 6 months is a short amount of time. I did it under 6 months when I was with the company I'm with before, but 6 months is not a lot of time for you to even learn this job. There are behaviors that you're going to get, that you're going to pick up that aren't good behaviors. There's things you're going to learn over the road as you go along. And by the time you're in a year, maybe become a trainer. But it also says something to me about the butts in the seat mentality of a starter company. Now, the company you're with, DCI, I know because I was with them and one of my other homeboys who was on my trainer truck with me, Mr. Dallas. Hi, Dallas, if you ever see this. I haven't talked to Dallas in a while. Dallas worked for them, and they did the same thing to him, okay? They asked him within a relatively short amount of time if he would train. The company you're with, they love cowboy drivers. What I call cowboy drivers is speed demons. That testosterone-driven guy. That's why when you were saying how fast you were going, I said you need to tone it back. You need to average, for safety reasons, to me, average your loads between 50 and 55 miles an hour. I'm not saying you have to drive that speed, but you want to average getting to where you're getting. If you're seeing I'm trying to get there and I can go 70 miles an hour and I can do 700 miles in a day and that is your goal, it bothers me because you're not taking it into account issues that arise. Bad traffic, bad drivers. I had a gentleman yesterday. I talked to my driver manager this morning. I said I might have a drive cam. I'm driving into the shipper, okay, in California. From my periphery, I see a homeless dude with a basket. And he gets to this thing. I'm like, is it still going to stop? And if you guys know the Smith system, or what I call the hazard system, the same thing. You go hazard right, hazard left, hazard in front. You as a driver, you should be scanning everything, right? A good professional truck driver, you should be scanning. You mentally will start being able to read the behaviors of four-wheelers and things going on around you, even other truckers. Like, there's behaviors you can tell, okay? So I'm seeing this homeless dude with a cart. I'm coming through Colton to get to the facility, all of a sudden he pushes a little bit, and I'm like, okay, and I slow the truck up. Then he stops, so I'm like, okay, that's right. Dude pushes the cart right in front of the dang truck. I have to do hard pump brakes twice to stop the truck because butthole walked directly in front of a moving truck, not in a crosswalk. I'm like, sweet mother of God. He was trying, I don't know if he wanted suicide by truck, hell, I don't know. But he walked right in front of my truck yesterday. Crazy as hell. So I talked to my driver manager this morning and said, look, you might get a drive cam. But this is what happened. And she said, Shandy, she said, we don't even get that at first. She said, in something like that, it's going to be thrown out because we're going to see what transpired. She said, it's a third-party company that gets these. They actually review it. And if they see that you did what was necessary to be safe and not cause an accident, thrown out. What we're looking for when we get them is that there are unsafe behaviors. So I'm like, okay. So she said, girl, what you describing, you fine. I was like, cool. I said, because, girl, I said, this dude just walked right in a damn truck. Anyway, so the company you're with, so they have been a cowboy company. I call them a cowboy company for a long time. They tend to draw a certain type of driver. They tend to ask people to train way before you even complete 6 months out of your trainer's truck. So you just got through training. And don't get me wrong, you may be a decent driver, but there's no way in hell within less than 6 months you should be training any damn body else. No, 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 and more no. The other reason I told you about buying the truck from them and lease purchase, because I know you're talking about lease purchase. If you lease purchase at a lot of these starter companies, what they can do is starve you out on miles. Because what they want you to do, if they're one of the companies that allow you to train in lease purchase, they want you to train drivers for them. So if we starve you on miles, you're going to be forced to have to train somebody for us, and then we'll give you the miles. Okay, I had to move the phone. What happens is I'm in Arizona. I usually put it up here in the window, and if it gets hot, that cuts the phone off. So, the company you're with, DCI, was a cowboy company. And when I say that, they claim to be one of the first ones to do e-logs. Oh, we did e-logs as the first company. Well, the reason they were the first ones to do e-logs is my understanding is that they were forced into it because they had so many drivers driving illegally and getting DOT attention that DOT made their behind go electronic logs. So that's why they were one of the first companies to do it. And obviously it was successful because it made them curb the behavior. And then they obviously rolled out e-logs to everybody else. I like e-logs. I don't have a problem with them. I know a lot of people want to complain. I think the complaint is because you can't really do your Shady McLaughlin stuff anymore. Like I said, I like e-logs. I didn't have a problem with e-logs. I like them. There's that little ghetto company I was working for. The trucks are beautiful. It's too much shenanigans. So I like e-logs. I don't have a problem with e-logs. Because basically to me, it regulates the company on trying to force drivers to do illegal stuff. And that's why some of these companies, you got to come in line. And then you got some that want you to drive illegally as far as speed or some of the other stuff they're doing. But for the most part, it regulates them on you going over hours and finagling your logs in order to keep your job. We're going to get into something called deregulation here in my conversation in a minute because somebody brought that up. Lua, we're going to be talking. So I'm going to knock these off as I'm going through. DCI, you've made comments about the miles that you're getting over there. Congratulations on the miles you're getting over here. So my average miles here at this company have been 2,600 miles a week. Okay, so that's my average miles from what they show as my average miles when they do my review. So I've averaged about 2,600 miles a week. It hasn't been until this new 3-day off thing that came into effect and get your crap off the truck. If you go, and like I said, that was sent to her entire fleet. I don't think it was specific to me. And obviously talking to Wagoner Boy, I think you kind of experienced some of the same stuff, and now the whole phone call, the phone calls every damn day. Like I told her, I said, I don't need to talk to you every day. You got shit to do. I got shit to do. So if I said, I understand it's your job to call, you just might be talking to my voicemail. I'm just saying. And I like the lady I have. I think she's a very sweet lady. She's a very nice lady. But out here, I'm kind of no nonsense. I got shit to do, and I don't want to be on the phone with you. There's nothing wrong with being personable and getting to know your drivers, but that lady don't care about you. I mean, she might have a few drivers that she really likes, and I know where some of her favorite drivers are. She's got one guy I know, Sean. She loves Sean. Sean been at the company for a long time. They like Sean. Sean's a nice guy. He does training for him. I met Sean. He's a cool guy, and they love him. They love him. Her fleet manager loves him. She loves him. They love him. That's one of her top favorite drivers. I already know. He's also 17. I think he's like, I don't know how many young, because he came from the refrigerated side that they bought, that this company bought. Okay, so he came from them. So they love him. I already know. Les Trucking, I'm going to talk to you for a minute. So Les Trucking, you talked about the new truck thing. So I'm going to talk about this for a minute. So I'm going to go here, and it's going to have some racial stuff to it too. I'm just saying. So when I came back to this company, well, when I started with this company back in 2010, I was a new driver, and I tested out in their Memphis yard, okay, in Memphis, Tennessee. And what you learned rather quickly at this company is they had terminals, and I believe they still do, that treat you a certain way based on your ethnic class. Follow me closely. Follow the bouncing ball. Now, you said that your tenured driver told you that oftentimes they'll give the new trucks to a new driver because they have warranty replacement or whatever if they're in an accident. I don't know if that's true or false. I do know that the company, the starter company I'm with, they basically told me that they knew when I was doing the mentor program that most of the trainees are going to have an accident within the first 6 months of driving. They already expect it, okay? They're going to have some sort of accident within the first 6 months of driving. My truck's about to do a regen, y'all, so forgive the noise. I gotta get a shower. Sometimes I didn't get a shower. I might stop at that Petro in, because I got free showers. I almost did it here, but there's a Petro right up by the Walmart in Casa Grande. I might stop in there and just grab a shower real quick, and then come back into Phoenix and do laundry and get some dinner. Because this load is not, like I said, this load ain't gonna do it unless I get a shower from Love's, because I gotta fill the reefer. So I think you gotta get 60 gallons now. It used to be 50, and now they do special. So what excuse me, what I discovered, and again, they could be very right that they give out the trucks to new drivers, but when I was here, they mainly did give you old trucks. Depends on which terminal you tested out from. And it depended on, like I said, your ethnic class, okay? I'm going to go here. I still believe that is a factor with this company I'm with, especially dealing with my Phoenix yard, okay? So when I tested out, I tested at Memphis. Memphis was known, and, you know, I don't like the color terms, but Memphis was known as the black terminal. Because black folks, you got treated very well. It's a heavy group of African Americans that work at that terminal. So they kind of took care of us. And you were treated better than what you were treated at most of the other terminals for this company. I'm going there. And Europa was called Miraloma at that time, and it really was not a terminal as it is today because they had not acquired the refrigerated company that was there. And so it was a Miraloma yard. There was a bunch of different companies, which there still are, that used their parking. Now that they acquired the refrigerated company, they took over that portion of the yard, and they had a repair facility there, which they still do, which is where I'm based out of. Okay, so Miraloma, it became Europa. And that's when we got there. I was like, Europa? Who the hell is Europa? When I came back into it, I was like, what? And I was like, oh, the Miraloma yard. And then I realized, oh, I didn't know they had taken over, and that's where I was going to be based out of, was Europa. So when I tested out, I did pretty good. My drive test, I drove the hell out of the truck. Driving has never been a problem. Had a little bit of problem with the backing, even though I was really good backer. I actually consider myself better then than I am now, because I was off the road for 5 years. I could blindside back like the devil. I mean, I could back. And I just could look at it and back with ease. I mean, I got really good. The Memphis Yard took care of a lot of their black drivers. They just did. But you can also tell, because sometimes black folks, how we run things is special. So it was more of your African-American yard. So when I went to test out, and I went to go get my tractor assignment, it was a brother running it, and the guy who tested him, he walked in there while I was there, and he said, give her a good truck. So the truck I got, I'm going to say it was brand new, but it was relatively new. It was under 100,000 miles on that truck. I don't even know if it had 50,000 miles on it. It was a brand new Volvo, okay? When I came back into the company and I tested out in Yoruba, they didn't have a lot of trucks, but they had, I think, like 5 or 6 trucks on the yard. And when I got there, I got a truck with only 90,000 miles on it. Anything under about 150,000 miles, that's a relatively new truck. So they gave me a relatively new truck. When I went on my leave, okay, so it's 2017 is what I got. I'm driving another 2017. This truck had under 200,000 miles when I got it, okay? When I came back from my leave, I came back to Phoenix. Phoenix Yard, I actually ended up having to turn my Volvo in because it was having issues. The brand new one I had got back in 2000. And Phoenix gave me an old as hell piece of crap truck. They just asinine. But it was okay. I'm not here to argue, fight with people. But that Phoenix is going to be different. The lady who ran that Phoenix Tractor Supply was such a bee. She was I'm just calling her, she's a bitch. The lady was a total bitch. One of the guys from my trucking school, he jumped into one of the golf carts. She made him so mad. And almost, I thought they were going to pull him off her. Because he went around that counter, it was in that woman's face, okay? It was, she was, the lady's horrid. She's horrid. And now, sorry y'all, I have to kind of miss the phone. Now, what's happened is, instead of, I'm trying to deal with the temperatures on this phone, because it's, instead of, let's change this thing to, let me change it to, instead of one jerk in that office, there's now 4. So I didn't know she's still with them. She's still with them, but I guess she works in a couple different areas. And so she's probably trained the other 3 buttholes that work in there. So when you go in there, what they do now is they make you go, if you don't take the bullcrap trucks they give you, oh, come back tomorrow, we'll see if we have some more. Tons of 2018, 2019 trucks sitting on the yard. But certain people they're not going to give them to, okay? And it was funny because I met a black guy, much lighter skinned than I am. I'm brown, but you know what I'm saying, a more light-skinned brother, out in the Yoruba Yard. He was based out of a different terminal, and we started talking about tractor assignment, and he talked about how he got his truck out of Phoenix, and me and him had similar treatments. And he said to me, he said, it might be our persuasion, meaning our ethnic class. I knew, and I still know, that they have certain terminals that treat certain people a certain way based on ethnic class. And Phoenix obviously is more geared to the Latino and Anglo whites. But back in the day, it was mainly very geared to the white drivers. And then your Latino terminals were your El Paso and Laredo terminals, the border town terminals, took very good care of them. And I hate to say it, that was just the case. It was the way it was. And, it's still a problem. It's a problem in our country. But in trucking, race plays a huge factor. I mean, it's horrid. But it's huge in this industry. And Trucker Bill warned me about it. He said he warned me about it right when I first came into the industry. About it's blatant racism out here. You're going to see the true underbelly of America in trucking. Because you have a lot of people who are lower income, middle class, and they come from certain areas of the country, and they have ingrained thought processes that usually aren't true, but because they put everybody in the same damn category, it's what they think, and they think, and that's how they were raised, and that's what they were reared to, and they don't know you, the person, or any other person, and they put all black people in a class, all Mexican people in a class, and I heard a guy telling a story at the truck stop I was out last night in Ontario while he was looking at a pornographic picture of some naked woman. Just disgusting. Openly in the truck stop, you got husbands and wives coming in. I'm like, you are really disgusting. And then on top of that, some of the stuff, he's just so ignorant. He's talking about Mexican people and their kids and the color of their skin. I'm like, what the Sam hell is wrong? In the color of their skin, and how this Mexican person had this kid, and the kid was more white skinned. While he looking at the pornographic picture of the naked lady. I just walked out the door. Crazy as hell. Anywho, no, change it. Yeah, but do my pre-trip now. Anywho, all right, done my little walk around stuff. I believe that it could be based more on, it can be based on that. But then there might be companies that do that. It might be some of the philosophy. I have no idea. To me, it's just weird, and maybe he has been in the industry and that's the philosophy. To me, it's a crazy as hell philosophy, because I'm sure there is a cost involved to replacing the trucks. But the company I work for, they're self-insured, so they insure their own stuff. So when they have these major lawsuits, they're self-insured. They insure themselves. Okay, but it is what it is. I can't call it. It just is what it is. So he may be right. Maybe it is a warranty issue. I know I always saw it based on ethnic class. And like I said, if I went to a certain terminal, I knew that I was going to get a better truck. Aruba being California being more liberal, I really believe that they did it based on if you could drive. And a lot of trucking companies, what truck you get, and I can tell you that from other companies I work for, is based on your driving ability, your backing and your driving. If you do well in those two, the better the truck you get. That's usually how it's done. Like I said, back when I started out, a lot of times they gave you a crappy truck if you were just a new driver, because they already knew you were going to have an accident, and they didn't want you to have an accident in their brand new trucks, because they just didn't. Again, I don't know. Maybe he's right about that, or he or she is right about the insurance. It could be. I don't know. So I think that's interesting. Last truck. Anyway, I want to address that. Lua. I'm going to copy some comments below. Lua's comments is going to be the one I'm going to talk about last, and I'm going to roll up out of here. Louis, excuse me. You talked about the, what's it called? You talked about the fact that trucking companies, the deregulation of trucking, and how the things of the mega carriers. So I kind of found some stuff so people can understand what deregulation was if you don't understand deregulation. Because we got a lot of people who are a lot younger than us probably on here. I know deregulation. I know it obviously from my corporate side, from finance and banking. And a lot of what we went through in the housing market, I really believe is caused because of deregulation. A lot of what's going on with the WellsFargo lawsuit that took place with them doing the sales, I believe that also is because of deregulation. A lot of what people are getting paid in the industry and trucking right now is behind deregulation. So I'm going to say some stuff, and folks may agree with me or may not agree with me, and I don't really care. So I said what I want to say. Deregulation. So what is it? And I'm going to try to put it in layman's terms, but I'm going to put an article below that will explain it and tell you what happened with trucking, okay? Deregulation is when there used to be government regulations in transportation that actually impacted like the lanes that trucks could drive, where they could be trucking companies could be licensed at, the type of freight that the company could carry, yada, 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 yada. And so, because of the regulations, they say the rates were really high, but also the pay level for drivers was high. You also had a lot of the companies were unionized. Okay, Trucker Bill is a former trucking union steward. Okay, he worked his way up from what did Bill say he used to be? He worked for the dock on the docks in Oakland and worked up to having a chauffeur's license, which is what the license used to be called for trucking if you were a truck driver. So he worked all the way up to a chauffeur's license to drive a truck. And he did, cab overs, old cab overs, stuff like that. So he started back in the day, back in the history of trucks. Unionize. I'm a fan of unions, so I believe in unions as long as they are not corruptly influenced, meaning that your mob, mafia are running them, and that was an issue with unions. That's kind of an issue with a lot of stuff. It just you might not call them the mafia nowadays. It might be a government agency and or a special interest party with mafia-like behavior. I'm just saying. Anyway, with deregulation, what happened was the money went down for the drivers. Freight got the handling of freight was cheaper, and they say in the article companies that weren't up to standard were kind of pushed out the door. Well, I don't know if I agree with the way they're looking at it, but I understand how they put it that way. Okay. You have people that will claim deregulation is good, and unfortunately, you got a lot of lower middle class people who, again, grew up in a certain part of the country with a certain mindset and may be of a certain political affiliation. I am not Democrat nor Republican. I'm independent. So that means I can vote either way because I have a lot of conservative views and I have non-conservative views. But when it comes to deregulation, I don't think it was good. I think it was bad for certain industries. Finance, damn sure for one, and transportation, damn sure for two. Don't get me wrong, there are still laws that trucking companies and the railroad and the airline industry have to abide by. And there's still agencies that govern, obviously DOT, govern these bodies. But they freely open the door for things to happen that, sorry guys, leg cramp, that I believe bit a lot of trucking companies in the butt. Okay, they opened the door and it bit people in the butt. So drivers lost wages and went down. The pay went down. And where we're at today in transportation, where you're at today with all the corrupt stuff that happened in the banking industry, it's due to deregulation. Okay, I'm going to share this with you. I remember when I was managing in telecommunications, another one, and I was managing telecommunications, and I was working for a company, and they were another company who's unionized was trying to bring the union into the particular telecommunication I was working for. This company had a nerve to pull us in. I was middle management at the time, and they want to pull us in and try to tell us why, if our reps came to us with questions about the union, what we were supposed to respond with. I believed in the union, but you had to play the game like, oh yeah, I agree, because it was your job. It was your job. To me, if a rep wants to have, and I don't think at that point, I think the company should be out of the conversation. I really do. That rep needs to make their decision based on them. Now, one of the companies I work for, what they would do is if their call center started getting too many reps that were going to become union, they would just move the call center and then lay most of them off. Because they didn't want that controlling factor. With the deregulation, to me, there was a direct line of sync with the company having employees who were union as well as regulatory guidelines. When deregulation happened, screw the union. I don't have to worry about that. I don't have to worry. There's certain behaviors you could have. And it became more for the owner and the people on top to get the biggest money and to pay the chump change to the people on bottom. And that's what deregulation did. It made it so I'm no longer answering to government agencies. Granted, they were still working around, finagling themselves around the laws, but now you have free range to kind of run your company how you wanted to, pay employees what you wanted to, run what you wanted to. You could help even run another business out of business. So telling me the business wasn't run efficiently, what you're saying is they didn't maybe have enough trucks to compete with a bigger company, or a company that was more cutthroat, who would charge cheaper freight wages. Like I told you, this company I'm with, they gave Walmart free freight for almost a year in order to win the Walmart accounts for a long time. Honestly, that's what they did. They did Walmart freight for free for a full year in order to win quite a few Walmart accounts. Yes, they did. And that was back when I was with them in 2010-ish. They did that, okay? You have to be very careful. Deregulation to me is not good. It was not good. It wasn't good in banking. It's not good now. And what it did, it lowered the wages. It lets these companies, their management, especially the upper management and or owners, manipulate the system to their own gain. It really does. And to basically at the end, the driver is screwed. You're running cheap freight. They're not doing that now because there's such a driver shortage. They're now still trying to run cheap freight, still trying to make all the money on the top, and throw little chump change at drivers. Okay, we're going to give you this much more to try to keep you on like a carrot. And it's biting them in the butt. And Lua actually brought up the fact of, it's biting them in the butt. There's like a 98% churn rate in the mega carriers. There's that turnover rate because they don't know how to treat you. So your drivers are going to, as Lewis said, LTL, where they're going to get paid the money. They're in their bed every night. And or other type of driving jobs where they're home every night and not dealing with the dumb stuff, or working for smaller carriers that's going to treat them better and be more personable and pay them some of their value. And so with deregulation, the big boys use that in order to manipulate, to make their money on top, to get away with what they wanted to get away with as far as treatment of drivers. A lot of negative factors to me came with deregulations. You're going to have another argument that says, well, it helped with free trade, and it helped with business negotiations and getting better contracts. And yeah, because you were out, you were able to pay your drivers chump change and do cheap wages for drivers who should get paid a lot more. It's my behind with the dumb stuff. Y'all crazy as hell. Cray. Anywho, y'all, I'm getting ready to get up out of here in a minute. So read the article below. You'll make your own decision. You don't have to believe me. I will tell you from my banking days, this is how I saw it. In banking, I remember when I started out in banking, it was about the customer. It really honestly was about you, the customer. It was about customer service. Then when I came back to banking, I worked for WellsFargo, who had this major lawsuit out here about this whole opening up accounts. And I was working for that side of the business, what they call the sales side. And it got me because when I first started running sales, and then when they explained, I was like, oh, okay, we're just opening accounts. What I didn't realize is they meant sales. They were trying to do hard sales to force you into these accounts, and they were offering bonuses. And once I finally started seeing, I told my father, I was like, dude, these people are going to get sued for this. It didn't used to be about that. The focus of the bank was to help you with savings and your financial goals. It was to sit down and help you with planning for retirement, for savings accounts for your children, for savings accounts for you, for CDs, the accounts that you needed to do your business. Banks made their money on whatever you put in there and rotated. Now what they're doing is they were just opening accounts, and then they're feeing the hell out of people if those people didn't keep the accounts in good standing. Some people didn't even know they had the accounts, and you're paying fees on accounts you didn't even know you had because you got people open them random because they're trying to get their bonuses because they're trying to take care of their family. So they would start doing Shady McLaughlin stuff. It became no more about the customer. It became about the money, and it became about what we could basically shake coins out your pocket and make money at whatever cost necessary, even if that all the way to the lawsuit that they have. I'm going to see if I can find a video for one of the whistleblowers who did the whistleblow on WellsFargo. And if you listen to what they did, and listened to what she experienced as an employee coming over. And I told my father, I said, they're going to get sued for this. They going to get sued. You can't. This is where things are bad when it comes to deregulation. The same thing that happened in the housing market. We're going to find a way to shake coins out of people at all costs. And we don't care if it's Shady McLaughlin, if it's illegal. It's crazy as hell. But I'm going to tell you a story real quick. And I remember this from back when I was trucking. I'm driving the truck, 2011, 12. I had Sirius satellite radio. And I like to listen to talk radio. I listened to a show that was talking about a lot of the prescription meds that were out. One of them, a blood thinner. They have different blood thinners, warfarin and all these other ones. Warfarin's a very well old known. I have medical people in my family too. Nurses, mainly nurses. We had a few doctors, but mainly nurses. Warfarin's well known for blood thinners, so preventing clots, things like that. This other new meds were coming out, and they do have them still, that help with you not having to get tested as much, because with morphine you got to test it on a regular basis to make sure your blood stays not too thin. And then with these new meds, you don't have to go back for testing after they get you at a certain level, right? So y'all will love this. So we went. I'm trying to think how to put this. I was listening to this radio show, and it was just mind blowing what they said. Here's the thing. He said they came out with all these new blood thinner medicines, and he said one of them, they were having a lot of people were bleeding out, so they were saying, why would you put this on the market? Why would our government allow it? Blah 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 blah. Why, if the company knows it's going to have these negative results, are they putting it out? He says, well, you have to look at the business side of this. Follow me closely. He said, so this may go to the point of the whole lawsuit things with the trucks and giving new drivers trucks. It might be true to what you're saying and what your person said. He said, the business side of things is this. If I know I put this new drug out and I know that my sales are going to be, let's say, $10 billion, $10 billion. And I get a lawsuit, let's say $1 million, a class action lawsuit, say even $10 million, but I made $1 billion, and my lawsuit was $10 million. I still have a huge profit. So I'm going to break this down on smaller numbers. Let's say you're making $4,000 a week, okay? And somebody sues you. So let's say you made $100,000 in a year. Okay, let's say that. Let's use that as an example. And somebody sues you for $10,000. You still have a $90,000 profit. Did the lawsuit really hurt you all that much? It's a drop in the bucket. It's like taking $1,000, being sued for $100, and you still got $900. It's nothing. That's chump change. It's just the cost of doing business. So the new model is not about the human. The new model is about the greed. Deregulation to me was a new model to support greed, not to support the humans. Regulation protects humanity because it requires a business to operate in a certain way that makes it hard to manipulate the system. But when you take the regulations off, and you basically, to me, it's like taking the leash collar off the dog. The dog can go wherever the hell he wants. Now, there might be certain guidelines that are certain verbal commands, but those verbal commands do not keep him leashed in to maintain those behaviors on a consistent basis. He basically can eventually do whatever the hell he wants to do, which is exactly what happened with deregulation. We unleashed the dog. You may have some governing bodies that give some verbal commands, but I can work around that and still do the hell what I want to do and be greedy and make a whole bunch of money on top. Some of what my company's going through right now. there are things that took place, I'm more than positive, in the background of this business that had regulations, had it not been deregulated, wouldn't have happened. Would not have happened. Anyway, guys, that's my rambles today on Monday. I'm going to put this video together and I'll go ahead and upload it. I'm getting ready to get up out of here. Peace. 2 and 2. Oh, somebody asked me what the 2 and 2. Peace and peace. 2 and 2. 2 fingers. 2 and 2. Peace and peace. That's all it means. Just peace. Anyway, y'all be blessed. Talk to you later. Alright, I am I'm in Utah right now, y'all. I have to admit, they do have some of the most beautiful mountains out here. It's gorgeous. Anyway, I'm in Utah. I'll be doing a later video update and get ready to head out. But y'all can save before winter hits because it's getting cool. It's like 50-some degrees last night. Anyway, peace out. I'll talk to y'all a little later. I'll be doing some shout outs later too. Peace.